we want to be able to do with this oscilloscope is to actually measure voltage and measure time. And these oscilloscopes have a facility to help us do that, called a cursor. And to turn on the cursors, I'll press the button labelled cursors. That brings up a menu. I can turn the menu on and off. I'll leave the menu on. I'm going to go and select manual. Now I've just selected manual. Two different sorts of measurements we can make of voltage and time, and it defaults to voltage, or we could measure time. Let's start with voltage. And let's have a bit of a zoom in and look at these screens. Here we've zoomed right into the display with the cursor measurements active. We're currently on manual cursor measuring voltage. Now there's two cursor lines, there's one up here and there's one down the bottom. At the moment we're active on cursor A, and so if I adjust the control there, I can move that cursor up and down until I can sit it just on top of the voltage there. And it's now sitting on top of the voltage, and I can read that voltage off the screen. Cursor A is 5.04 volts. I can now select cursor B, and if I adjust the control, I can move the lower cursor up to just touch the voltage scale. And I can read off the display the voltage of that. Cursor B is on negative 5.04 volts. So cursor B is negative 5.04 volts, cursor A is plus 5.04 volts, and delta V is the voltage difference between them, between those two, is 10.0 volts. And we're losing a bit with round-off error there. The oscilloscope's only good to about 2 or at most 3 significant figures. So there is a measurement of voltage, and I can read the maximum voltage of that trace is cursor A is plus 5.04 volts. The minimum voltage is minus 5.04 volts is cursor B. Let's now swap to the time cursors. And so I'll select, instead of voltage, I'll select time. And it may help to hide the menu at this point, but just remembering we're currently selecting cursor B. And so I'll hide the menu, and I can see two cursor lines. There's one down there and one down there. Now cursor B is active, and so if I move that, I move the second cursor, and I'll move it to where I see it crossing the axis there. I think it crosses the axis at about that point there. And it's telling me cursor B is at the point 990 microseconds. 0 is centered on the origin, so there's 990 microseconds. Let's bring the menu back again for a second by pressing the menu button. Select cursor A, and now I can move cursor A. I'll turn the menu off. And let's move it down so we can measure the length of one cycle. And one cycle of this, remember, is a full cycle of motion going through the axis, up to the top, down to the bottom, and up to there again. And I will move that to where it looks like it's crossing that axis, is about there. And it's telling me the absolute position of that cursor as well, which cursor A is on minus 10 microseconds. Cursor B is on 990 microseconds, and the difference between them is the important thing, the delta T, or the period, 1.00 milliseconds. And the nice thing the oscilloscope will do for you is it tells you what the reciprocal of that number is as well. 1 kilohertz, frequency is 1 over the period. And so the oscilloscope is very useful for measuring both voltage and time.